of it many times. For a night. Regret rose in his expression when he thought about how Lisa had been the only one to ever really touch his heart, but how he hadn't delivered on his promise to marry her. How that bothered him, but not enough to make it right, because here he was wanting this woman. But Jack was taking care of Lisa. He was making it right, at least for now. Troy pictured Jack knocking on Lisa's apartment door back in New York and holding the baby in that nervous way, and he almost smiled. Jack was the best brother anyone could have, even if he wasn't blood. Troy's regret faded quickly as he strained to catch one more look at the Spanish angel before she disappeared into the crowd. Then his gaze flashed to her father and uncle. They knew what he was thinking, and he knew how much they hated it. But the hell with them. They were trying to get him killed. "Go on, gringo," her uncle muttered gruffly as he pulled the gate open just enough for Troy to pass through. The people hanging on the fence began shouting and screaming in anticipation as soon as he did. "Get in there." Troy handed the bouquet to a little girl in a tattered dress who was standing by the gate. Then he patted her gently on her small head and stalked into the ring with just the rusty sword at his side. Troy Jensen was only 28 years old, but he'd already done more than most people would in a lifetime. He had conquered the 7 summits by climbing the tallest mountain on every continent, including Everest. He'd circumnavigated the globe in a sailboat, alone, twice. He'd slipped into remote areas of Russia and Mongolia to fly fish for taimen, the world's largest and rarest trout, risking lengthy prison sentences by illegally crossing several remote borders. And now he was entering this makeshift ring in the slums of Nuevo Laredo to fight a frothing, wild-eyed bull in front of several hundred bloodthirsty spectators, all of whom, he figured, were betting on the bull. Back home in Connecticut, people were whispering that he was obsessed with the edge, and maybe he even had a death wish. So Troy knew it had come as no surprise to anyone when he had called a week ago to tell his mother, Cheryl, that he wasn't coming to Greenwich next month for Thanksgiving because he had joined the crew of an Alaskan crab boat. She was the Arctic Fire, and she was sailing out of Dutch Harbor for the season. The tiny port lay west of mainland Alaska on the Aleutian Islands, which stretched across the Bering Sea toward Asia like a lion's tail. Dutch Harbor was little more than an isolated outpost. It was one of those glaring examples of why the global positioning system had been invented. Still, every autumn, it served as the starting gate for the most prolific crab hunt in the world. Troy was looking forward to hunting king crab on the Bering Sea. It was the deadliest job on Earth, and it would be another box he could check on his daredevil list. But first, he wanted that Spanish angel's kiss, and everything else that went with it. He gestured to the massive midnight black bull as it snorted furiously and tore at the bone-dry soil with its hoof. "Bring it on!" he shouted to the animal as the crowd roared. "Show me what you got!" And it did. It rushed him as soon as he yelled to it, picking up speed fast for such a huge animal. Troy dodged the long, sharp horns as the beast thundered by. But his expression turned steely as a cloud of dust swirled past an instant later. Plunging the rusty blade into the bull's neck with a kill thrust was going to be harder than he had anticipated. But that was fine, he told himself as he watched it wildly shake its head and turn to charge again. He didn't like easy. He never had. Nothing easy was really worth fighting for. His father, Bill, had taught him that a long time ago. As the bull tore at the ground again, Troy noticed a man hanging on the fence of the small ring. The man was trying hard to blend into the crowd around him, but he couldn't. Everything about him looked authentic, except his teeth. They were too straight and too white. It was a tiny disparity hanging along that crowded fence, but Troy had been trained to pick up